If I may ask, tonight at the beginning of my son's yard site,
Right.
so if you could like do the Shir
Sure.
Nishmat Yedidya Shalom ben Yechiel.
You did your shalom?
Yeah, ben
Ben
Yechiel
Yechiel.
HaKohen.
Go ahead. You did your shalom.
Right.
So there's a lot of Gemara here that we're going to skip for the time being, and maybe another time we'll get back to it because, I feel like we've been working on Baba Materis a lot, and time is flying. I do want to get to some really big sugyas that are coming up, and that's Kiddush Hashem. So we're going to look at Tanur Rabbanon here on Daf Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, and you're going to count up from the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines up from the bottom, Tanur Rabbanon. Yeah?
Ein lo damim.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have also a handout for today if you want to take it right over here.
We can.
Oh, yeah, you can spell whatever you like. So we have the following brisa. The Torah says, with regard to above machteres, that ein lo dom. And then the Torah adds, im zarcha hashemesh olav domim lo. Domim means that you can't kill him. Why? Because zarcha hashemesh olav. So the Gemara asks the following question, actually the brisa. V'chi hashemesh olav bilvad zarcha. What does it mean? The sun rose on him. It rises for the entire world. Ella im bar lecha adavar kishemesh she'ein lo shalom imcha. Then the halacha of Bab Machteres applies, and that means ein lo dam. So we read it ein lo damim im zarcha lav hashemesh, and the impression you get is that it has to be absolutely crystal clear that he's coming, if need be, to kill you if you stand up and defend your property. But v'im lav. But if on the other hand it's not crystal clear, it's not 100% certain that he's coming to kill you, al targeu, don't kill him. And at this point, we really don't understand what's going on here because, as we learned at the beginning of this sugya, the whole yisod, says Rav, of this sugya is chazak, etc. And Meimer Omar, right? Then the Baba Machteres is going to kill you if you confront him. Tanya either. But we have another brisa that says just the opposite. Im zarch hashemesh olav damim lo. Meaning, when do you not kill him? When is he considered a viable being and you don't have rights to take his life? That's only because zarch olav hashemesh. That's because you're absolutely sure that he's not going to kill you. And again, the brisa asks the same question. Hashemesh ola bilvad zarka ella in bar lecha hashemesh sheyesh lo shalom imach. Just the opposite of what we had in the previous brisa. In the previous brisa, basically you were innocent until proven guilty. In other words, unless you know for sure that ein lo shalom imach, that he's going to kill you if need be, then you're not allowed to kill him. Only when you know for sure that he's going to kill you. But here in this brisa, it says you need the opposite. He's guilty until proven innocent. You need zarcha lav hashemesh in order to be bar lecha sheyesh lo shalom, and then al targei. So the Gemara asks kasha stama, and the Gemara reconciles. And this is what we want to focus our attention on the top of Ayin Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara says the following: and the aval ben. One brisa is talking about a father who breaks into his son's house. Khan, the other brisa, is beben ala'af, a son who breaks into his father's house. I mean, obviously, we're dealing with some desperate people. And Rashi tries to explain what's going on over here. These two brises are addressing two different scenarios. And Rashi says the following: in the case of aval ben, then we're going to raise the possibility that even if the ben would stand up to defend his property, the father would still have an element of compassion and not kill his own son. And therefore, says Rashi, misafek al yargehu b'no. So what happens over here? We're talking in the first case about a father who breaks into his son's house. In the second case, the son breaks into his father's house. So let's go one by one. If it's the father who breaks into his son's house, then the son has to consider that the father would not go all the way, if you follow what I mean, and kill him. And therefore be suffix, the ben should be al yargeu. So in that case, we're going to interpret the brisa as telling us that unless you know for sure that he's going to come to kill you, if you have any doubts, then don't kill him. Why? Because it's a case of aval ben. Devade rachmea aval beno, ba'afilo yamatzel mamono. Even if the son will defend himself, meaning his own property, lo yargeu. The father is not going to go all the way that far in order to achieve his goal of burglary and kill his own son. That far he wouldn't go. Hilkach, therefore, damim lo. Therefore, the father has damim. What does that mean? Achi vadilcha kishemesh. If you have to somehow, I don't know exactly how you would know this, but if it's absolutely crystal clear that even a father is so cruel that he would kill his own son for the sake of, I guess he's desperate, it's only in that case you're allowed to kill him. But Ben Ala'av, on the contrary, Ben Ala'av is, so to speak, guilty until proven innocent. And what does that mean? That if the Ben breaks into his father's house, we're going to assume that if the father stands up to defend his own property, then the Ben will, if need be, from his perspective as a burglar, kill his own father. The Kolshkein inish the Alma, and certainly, how much more so, somebody else who is not a Ben, we have to assume that he's out there to kill you. And therefore, hargeu be suffix. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you can, to underline two words here in Rashi. First of all, on the top line of the page, underline the word misafek. And that's in the case of aval ben. Since you have a suffix, you don't kill him. But then you should underline the word misafek on the fourth line from the top in the case of ben ala'ah. So we're going to emphasize the second misafek for a moment. Let's focus on that. Hargeu misafek. Now I'm going to assume, and you may want to fight me on this, that hargeu misafek would go back on inish the alma and on the case of ben ala'ah. Rashi doesn't seem to differentiate between the two. So therefore, what it means is that you can kill a misafek. Now, what does Rashi mean by suffix?
If you don't know, the default presumption
is
that
correct. The
So
default
there's without Zarkal of Hashemesh. You don't have some extra raya.
correct. So if you don't have a Zarkal of a Shemesh that he's not coming to kill you, then hargeu, and what's the next word in Rashi? Misafek. Do you hear what's going on? So that's a pella to me. I'm trying to digest this Rashi. Because a Rodef, in order to kill him, you have to know that he's a Rodef. Just because it's a suffix that he might kill you, and maybe he's a Rodef, maybe he's not a Rodef, therefore you're going to kill a person, be suffix. Is anybody with me? You gentlemen are so far in the back, it's hard for me to project my voice. I hope you're able to hear me.
hear everything.
Okay. Now, I have.
You're questioning the word misafek.
I'm questioning how to understand this Rashi. That Rashi is saying that in 99 out of 100 cases, it's probably even a greater percentage, which is inish the alma or ben ala'ab. Then Rashi says you kill the bab machteres, and Rashi explains hargehu misafek. That to me is a gigantic chiddush that never crossed my mind. That you have a suffix and you're going to kill a person misafek. Do we have any precedent for such a thing? By the way, I have here Marmakomos if you'd like, because I want to start using them right now. And we're going to take a look on this page. How many do you have there? 3? Okay, so take 2 and give me 1, just in case.
Take 2 and call you in the morning.
Okay.
There's another one.
Now, I want to study with you, on the Rif in Masechet Sanhedrin, around the Rif, there are a number of commentaries, one of which is called Yonatan. That's what you have here, Rabbeinu Yonatan. Do you see such a thing?
Even on your daf?
On the daf that I gave out.
Yeah.
right? And the reason why I printed it for you is because it doesn't appear in the Masechet. The Masechet has one fault, it doesn't have the Rif. And if it doesn't have the Rif, it doesn't have Rabbeinu Yonah.
See, it has so many other things. You could have the
Okay.
written.
There's not room.
Okay.
You can't have everything. Where would you put it?
Now, the thought occurred to me, which I want to bounce off you, is that maybe Bava Machteres, according to Rashi, which the Torah allows you to kill him, ain't lo damim in those circumstances, is not a rodif. There's no such thing as a suffix rodif. But what Rashi means is habala hargacha hashkem laharga. There's one thing is vadai, and that's vadai that you have a right to protect your property and confront him. And not only that, that he knows up front that that could happen. Do we know whether he's going to turn his back and run away? Here's where the Torah is machadesh in the parsha of Rodev, that he's considered bala hargacha. If I could use a lumdish terminal, he has a chal shem bala hargacha. He does not have a chal shem Rodev. And I'm going to try to prove it to you. Let me ask you the following question. You're a spectator, and you see so-and-so, we'll call him Ruvain, I don't like to use Jewish names, but Ruvain, who's burglarizing Shimon. Are you allowed to kill Ruvain? Well, let's go back to the law of Rodev. What's the law of Rodev? If I'm a spectator, and Ruvain is running towards Shimon to kill him, what do?
You can kill him.
I kill him. And not only can I kill him, I have to kill him. It's a chiyuv. I'm obligated to kill the Rodev. So the din of Rodev is not chal vis-a-vis the person who's the nirdav, the potential victim, but rather din of Rodev is chal vis-a-vis everyone, the whole world. Everybody has to relate to this person as a Rodev. But now Rashi introduces a case of suffix. If it's a case of suffix, hago atzmecha, you're going to kill a suffix Rodev? And not only are you going to kill him because you're a nirdav, anyone can kill him. That's not what Rashi means. I have no proof for what I'm saying. It's just intuition tells me that Rashi is not operating midin Rodev. He's operating midin abola hargacha, somebody who comes towards you. And the Torah says we have reason to believe that he is threatening your life. The threat to your life, even if it's a suffix, makes him into abola hargacha. That's the chiddush of the parsha of Bava Machteres.
And the Kiddush is only on the Balabais.
And Memela, only the Balabais can kill him.
In the Chabad the Kiddush.
Correct, because he's not a Rodef. A Rodef who's definitely, he's holding a gun or a knife. He's running after you. He's about to kill somebody. Everybody has to kill him. He's a Rodef. The circumstances are clear. He's a Rodef. But now you have this, ambiguous kind of situation. Will the Bava Machteres actually kill the Balabais? Will he run the other way and say, all right, it's not worth it for me? Even the burglar who to some extent is endangering his own life. But, there's a difference between assuming that the Balabais is sleeping up in his attic and seeing the Balabais confront you with a, we'll call it a defensive weapon, but a weapon nevertheless. And in the first case scenario, where they say about Ganovim that they always pray to Hashem, while he's praying to Hashem that the Balbayis, will turn off on the other side and everything's going to go smooth. Now the circumstances change, right? There's a new factor here. The Balbayis is not sitting there passively; he's taking an active, aggressive challenge to confront you. Okay, so you know what? Maybe I can sneak out of here. It wasn't a good idea. I'm going to hop back on the bus cars, and that's it. So there's always a suffix, Rashi says. And I don't know if you paid attention to this. I certainly did not. If not for this Rashi, I never thought in my mind that Bava Machteres is going to be killed midin suffix. And my natural intuition would reject such a thing because I've never actually seen, again, it doesn't mean a thing that I've never, right, but I've never seen that you kill a person he didn't suffer. But I'm trying to suggest here that we're not operating Midin Rodef. And for sure Midin Rodef, you'd have to be crystal clear. The Chiddush here of Zarchal of Hashemesh means that here you could consider him, unless you know otherwise, guilty. But what does guilty mean? That he is considered a threat to your life. Does it mean he's definitely going to kill you? No. But he's definitely a threat to your life. Why? Because the Torah gave you the option and the right to defend your property. The very moment the Torah says to me, I can defend my property, this guy is threatening my life. He's not coming in just to steal my Mona Lisa. He's armed and he's ready to confront me. Maybe he'll chicken out, maybe he won't chicken out. But he's definitely a threat for my life. That's the halacha of Bava Machteres. And I think maybe I found the siyua here in Rabbeinu Yonasan. But I'd like to learn this 4 lines, right? Of Rabbeinu Yonasan with you. And tell me if you think I have a case.
Maybe I'm missing something, but didn't we see in the very beginning of the Gemara that they used the word chazaka?
Correct.
So the fact that Rashi is saying here safek, I'm maybe
how do we reconcile?
Maybe I'm being
balabas.
I'm saying safek doesn't really mean safek el chati, but it's like he's just sort of talking about the gray, area in between.
No, but chazaka is that the balabais is not going to remain passive. That's the chazaka.
But it's because of that chazaka that he actually is allowed to kill him, right? I mean,
right.
So
no, it's because of chazaka that we assume that the ganav is ready to kill. So now Rashi's saying that even though you don't know that for sure, that's what he's saying. Even though you don't know.
Okay, but in any chazaka you don't know for sure. Chazaka is still a way of knowing, a way of being chovea the mitzvah.
My question is, and again, you don't have to accept my question. It's an issue of subjective intuition.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, chazaka is wonderful, but I don't know if chazaka in a case of unclear circumstances is enough to kill a person. There are certain chazakas maybe we could kill a person on, but those chazakas have to be very, very powerful. They have to be like ruba de ruba, like a very strong robe. Yeah. But you would never call it safek. In other words, the chazaka is what we call a birur or a hachra on the robe or on the safek.
Mm-hmm.
But here that Rashi insists we're talking about safek. Kill him be safek, the Rashi said. If Rashi was sitting here in this room, he would tell you, kill him be safek.
Okay.
Look at the Gemara of Chazaka. Let's go back for a moment. And the Gemara says, of our Rav, my time in the Machteres, Chazaka ain't on the Mamid Atzva Mona. And that means that the Bava Machteres is ready from the get-go. He anticipates this to accost and confront the Balabais.
And that causes the safek,
And that causes the safek, but they kill him. So that's what I'm saying. I don't believe that we did wrote if you can do that.
Okay.
There may be a separate category that's Torah's Machadish and Bava Machteres that he's threatening your life. And the nafkamina would be Abola Hargacha, Hashke Baharga. Who's the Hashke Baharga?
You.
Yeah, we're addressing the potential victim. We're not telling the Vel, hey, this guy's a rodent. We're not saying that Bava Machteres equals a rodent. I would have said so, but Rashi tells me it's not so.
Don't you have to say, because otherwise, why would the Torah need to tell us the din of Bava Machteres? It's a standard din of rodent.
No, maybe the Torah is telling me that you should know he's a rodent, which means he's out there to kill you.
Which is a chiddush also, a big chiddush.
Yeah.
But Rashi refuses to accept that. So let's take a look at Rabbeinu Yonasan, yeah? Klomar. Hababa Machteres, Sha'amra Torah, Yehareg, Nidon al Shem Sofa. Okay, we're familiar with that term from the beginning of this parak, namely Ben Saramor. The Halo Katil, Umiktil. He didn't kill anybody, and yet we're putting him to death. So how can you kill somebody who didn't kill anybody? The law of Rotzeach is that Bezin takes Rotzeach to be killed because he killed somebody. In many in many legal systems, lahavdil, there's such a thing as attempted murder. But I don't know in Allah there is such a thing as attempted murder. Maybe we'll lock him up in jail because he's a menace to society, a threat to society. But to put him to death because of an attempted crime, that we don't do. So the Rabbi Yonasan adds, Ella, mipnei shesofo laragas balabayis kishiyamod kinegdo lahatzil mamono hilkach itira lo Torah lebalabayis she'argenu. What two words am I gonna, as we say in Yiddish, stel on? Again, hilchach itira lo Torah lebalabayis she'argenu. Wait 1 second. What do you mean itira lo Torah lebalabayis she'argenu? If we're talking about Rodev, then don't tell me itira lo Torah lebalabayis she'argenu. I would have written it Iva Torah lekol echad v'echad lahargo. And now he quotes the famous halacha of who bala hargecha. So again, we're addressing who? The victim. Do you follow what I mean? The balabayis in this case. Hashkem laharga. But this is not Rodev, is it? The afal gav dilashar Rodev. If it would have been a classic Rodev, medakta kinon shim yochol lahatzil bi echad. What does it mean, bi'echad? Me'ifarav, a lola harga. In other words, here's the question that Rabbi Yonasan is asking. He's addressing a very practical question. This guy is above my test. He broke into my house. I'm defending my property, and I got a gun. Do I have to shoot for his legs? Very practical question. In the case of Rodef, what are the limitations? Can I kill any Rodef? If I can save the Nirdaf without killing the Rodef, I'm obligated to do so. And perhaps if a person didn't take advantage of the opportunity, the possibility of shooting for the legs, as I call it, and being matzil the Nirdaf be echad me every harodef, but rather he killed the Rodef, it's appellate to me because I have visions of terrorism in my mind. I don't know. I hope you guys are above the fears of terrorism. That's my bracha for you. But, especially as of late, it's been very hard for me. Even today, I had to accompany my wife to a place called Beit Zafafa, if you're familiar. It's not far from here. And I said, let's get out of here. So I'm thinking to myself, you're working for the Imam, and all of a sudden you see the terrorists. So what do? You shoot for the legs? So that might come under a different din of milchama, but if it's midin rodev, if you see a terrorist who's trying to kill you, then enochinami, you should shoot for the legs. And I think that's Israeli law, by the way. But that law doesn't apply to the Imam. The only law that applies to the Imam is the terrorist comes out like this. You know what I mean? Then you can't kill him. Even then, maybe, I don't know. You were in Har Nof so I remember the Imam came into our porch because they thought there was a third terrorist that was in Yar Yerushalayim. But you should have seen these guys. They were the most mafchid, I was so scared of these guys. But it was nice that they knocked on the door, they didn't just come barging in. Anyway, so what's my point over here? I wouldn't ask for a balabayis who sees a baba machteres to shoot for the legs. You know what I mean? If you're in a situation of a rodef, maybe you could have what I call yishuv adas and start calculating, where am I going to shoot and how am I going to shoot? Especially if you went through basic training like I did. I'm just laughing. My basic training was a joke. Anyway, 6 weeks of basic training, but I was 33 at the time, 34. Anyway, but a guy's breaking into your house. Oh, you know what? The Torah says you can kill him, but shoot for the legs. Is that the law of Baba Hargacha? What's called Bala Hargacha Hashke v'Hargo? Oh, but Yachal Atzila Mecha Be'vara. Says Rabbi Yonasan, V'alzeh nenash Avner. He says, V'afal gav d'l'shar rodef medaktikim shiv yochel hatzil v'yachavav So we'll have to go through the sugi of Avner. Avol b'ba b'machteres lo medaktakin kuli high. Now I wish he would have stopped here. You know the phrase "quick while you're ahead." If he would have stopped here, lo medaktakin kuli high, I would have been a very happy camper, because I would have said that we're talking about a case of bala hargacha. Somebody is coming to kill you, and now you have to calculate. Well, maybe I could shoot for the legs. But he says something different. Maybe I could fit it in. I don't know. He says, came in the Lilahu. Okay, I don't know. His Bob Bakteris has to be Lila Tasi. Aino Yochel Dagde Kol Kach Balabais. We can't demand and expect from the Balabais that he'll be Medagde. And he'll look around and see, maybe he can do that. Oh, you have all these opportunities. You have to kill, take off one of his Avarim and don't kill the guy. But Rabbi say, even if I can't tell you, and I'm being honest with you, that I understand every word in Rabbi Yonasan, which I don't, but one thing is a breakthrough that I see crystal clear with a tremendous nafkamina. And what's that?
It's two different dinim.
We're not dealing with Rome. As Yechiel says very well, Svei dinim. There are two different categories, which is a tremendous gap or gulf between them. There's something called Bava Machteres and there's something called a Rodef. We wanted to build ourselves based on Rashi, because Rashi calls it a suffix. But in Rabbeinu Yonasan, he addresses a slightly different issue. And that is whether or not you have to be matzel as atzmacha be'echad meivara. And number two, what else is in Rabbeinu Yonasan?
Who else can kill?
Do you hear this, Rabbi Osai? So my nafkamina was more of a conceptual nafkamina. I said that conceptually we're not dealing with Rodef, because he can't tell me someone's a Rodef because of suffering. Maybe he's going to kill you. But practically speaking, Rabbeinu Yonasan is sort of mapping out an entire different structure of halachas between Rodef and Bala Hargach. In the case of Rodef, number one, we're going to require that you shoot for the legs if possible. Number two, everybody is on board to kill the Rodef. And now we go to the flip side. With regard to Bava Machteres, says Rabbeinu Yonasan, we're not going to allow everyone to kill the Bava Machteres, but rather the Balabais is allowed to kill. Why? Because it's a Bala Hargacha. And a Bala Hargacha means he's threatening your life. I think we can fit that in with Rashi about something. And number two, says Rabbeinu Yonasan, that not only is it limited to the Balabais, but that we're not going to require of him to try to make the shtikul adas of Yochel Atzilcha, Yochel Atzilas Atzma, we'll call it. Nice? Again, I shouldn't say the word nice here. We're dealing with some pretty bloody issues here, but conceptually, I think we there's a breakthrough here. As you call it so well, you feel tzvei dinim. I mean, they're two different categories. Okay. So that pretty much ends our discussion here about Ben Ala'av, Havala Ben, etc., etc. Okay. Let's take a look at Tanu Rabbanon on Daf Ayin Beis Amid Beis. I think we discussed this Gemara once, but I don't think we exhausted the topic. Tanu Rabbanon. Again, the pasuk gives Zorcha Hashem Shalav Domim Lo. Bein biyom chol ubein im ba b'Shabbos. We're talking about a burglar, and we're talking about, call it Rodef, or call it Bala Hargacha. And the Bryce has to tell me, Bein b'chol, bein b'Shabbos. Right? He writes here, Yesh heter harigas haba b'machteres, bein b'chol, bein b'Shabbos, ein lo dom. And he derives this from the word damin. And it says, In B'machteres Simotzi Aganav a Hukav a Mace Ein Lo Damim, and the word Damim is in Lashon Rabim to teach you that there are two scenarios in which the Baal Bais is allowed to kill the Bav Machteres. One is B'chol and the other is B'Shabbos. Says the Gemara, wait a minute.
Same with Damim Lo. If he killed him, he's not supposed to kill him.
So Ein Lo Dam means you're allowed to kill him, correct?
Price says well, Damim Lo B'Mechol. That was an Ein Lo Damim B'Mechol. The price says both, right?
Correct. Correct. So Bishlema Ein Lo Damim Bein B'Shabbos Bein B'Chol Bein B'Shabbos, that you're allowed to kill the Baba Machteres even on Shabbos. Itzrich, I need a limit for that. Why? I would have raised the possibility of eating Aruge Bezdin. And there's a separate law in the Torah that we're not allowed to kill someone who's condemned to death on Shabbos. Meaning we can't kill him on Shabbos. The Shabbos lo katlina. I think he tells you that we derive from the Pasuk Sevaru Eish B'chomosh V'Seichen. That's a sugya at the beginning of Sanhedrin. So I would have said that a Ganov whose Baba Machteres has the same status as Haruge Bezdin. And therefore we can kill him on a Chol day, but not on a Shabbos day. But Mashmallah, the Bryce has to derive this, the Katlinon, we can kill him even on Shabbos. Elo. But when you say Domim Lo, which means that you're not allowed to kill him, that's Bein B'chol Bein B'Shabbos, is Hashta B'chol O Katlin, and lays B'Shabbos Mi Boy. No, on Shabbos you have an additional dimension or element of Chil Shabbos. So if you're not allowed to kill him on a weekday, certainly you can't kill him on a Shabbos. Now what happens here? The Baba Machteres digs himself a tunnel to break into someone's house, correct?
Karma.
Guess what happened? This is what I call, what do you say?
Karma.
What does karma mean? Is that an English word?
Yeah.
C? How do you spell it? C?
Whatever, you get what you deserve, right?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, okay. I know it's called karma. He says, the guy is digging and digging and digging until finally the whole thing collapses and he's got an avalanche over his head. He's literally buried under stones. Now, when a person is buried under stones, we violate the Shabbos in order to save his life. But Rav Sheshis is saying that in this case, we're not going to be Mechal Shabbos for him. Why not? Because he was above the Machteres.
No, but in the case of Damim Lo, you would. In the case of Damim Lo, you would be because he wasn't Chayav Misa. But if you would, if it was an Ein Damim Lo, that's what Rashi's saying. Although he bought Haskei and Fashos, if it's case of Ein Damim Lo because he's trying to kill,
Right.
then he's got for Ketila.
And therefore what? We're not going to save him.
In the case of Ein
We'll let
Damim,
him, we'll just,
if he's coming out of the skin of Fashos. In the case of Damim
and we're going to let him die
Right.
under the pile of
he's got for
stones.
Ketila.
Do you understand that, David? I can't understand this Gemara. Again, I'm having a lot of trouble today, but I'm trying to, look for empathy. Rabosai, it makes sense to me to kill or let die a Bav Machteres. But if the Bav Machteres is on the bottom of an avalanche, he's no longer above Machteres. The man is probably trying to breathe his last breath of air on this earth.
That's why Rashi says Mishas, they change it to Chatira. He's got a Katila, Mishas Katira. So.
Take a look at the Meiri. And once again, I'm looking for empathy. See, do you see the Meiri? Yes? Irali. Shezesha Amarnu. Olav. Meaning regarding this Bob Machter, She'em Mefachin Olos Hagal. Hirusho V'Sofek Chai Sofek Mes. Aval Imu Vadai Chai Omer Ani Shemefachin Sharei Achshav Eino Rodef. And he says, "Harei zek harodif acher chaveru v'tziluhu b'echad beivara shein lo od laharga." And if he goes in and he kills him, zel kariga b'yadayim. So again, I'm not telling you I understand the Meiri, but what I am telling you is that the Meiri definitely says that Achshav Eino Rodef. Do you see those three words?
Yeah.
Achshav Eino Rodef.
What should be the difference with Safek Chai or not Safek Chai?
I don't know. That much I can't figure out. The Meiri is kind of like gibberish to me, but for my purposes, at least I want to get a nachas ruach from three words in the Meiri. Achshav Eino Rodef. And not only is he saying Achshav Eino Rodef, he has an afkemina. Because he's going to say, when Rav Sheshes says, Ein Mefachin Olos Hagal, it's because Eino Achshav Eino Rodef. But the strange thing is, as you say very well, he's only saying that in a case where I don't know if he's going to survive or not. Maybe he's already gone. If it's a case of Safek, okay, then let him die. But if you're going to tell me that it's Vadai that he'll survive if we only take the effort and override the Shabbos to save it alive, then for sure we have to do so, says the Meiri. Omer Ani, Shemefachin. I mean, the statement in the Gemara doesn't say it. The Meiri is being mechadish something amazing over here. That if the guy is going to live, if we make the effort to save him, right, through a rescue operation, then in that case, we can't let him die. We have to do whatever we can in order to put him to death.
To save him.
I'm sorry, in order to save him, I meant to say. So it's almost like he's creating a svexmaker here, meaning in a case where he may or may not survive, so we're going to add to that, well, instead of violating the Shabbos by doing Mefachin Olos Hagal, we're going to say, wait a minute, it could be that we'll be Mefakech Olos Hagal and he won't survive anyway. So why bother? And we're going to add to that he's a rodef. Why? Because again, in a normal case of Mefachin Olos Hagal, even if there's a 1% chance that you could save his life, we're going to be Mechal Shabbos. But here we're not going to be Mechal Shabbos for a suffer. So Anaya did that in the case of Baba Machteres, we don't violate the Shabbos for a suffer, even though we might save his life. But if we know for sure that we can save his life, then you know what? It's like Katzileu B'echad Beivara. Why? Because Eino Achshav Eino Rodef. Did everybody see that? Those three words are critical. What does he add at the end? And then he says, "O Shema Kevan Sheish Lomar Olav Shehu Mishtadel V'Atzmo B'Pikucho V'Libo Al Gnevaso Ein Mefach." Now the Meiri steps back. He takes a second look, and he says, "You know what? Even if we're Vadai that he'll survive if we make the effort, we can't save him. Do you follow? What do you say?
He's still a thief.
He's still trying to fill.
He's still trying to figure out how do I get out of this debris so I can resume my burglary. Do you follow what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy is buried under stones. He didn't get the what's it called, karma? Whatever that word was. Anyway, I didn't write it down, so of course I forgot it. And he didn't get the message from Shemayim. He knows that he wants to rob the guy at all costs. He'll somehow break out of the gal like Hercules, like Superman, in order to continue on his way. He did not get the message yet. This is not a good idea. And therefore, he still has a shame, Baba Machteres. But until the Meiri's O Shema, he's saying, you know what? Shuv Achshav Eino Rodev. And if he's Eino Rodev, then we got to save him. But with what is good? When do we have to save him? When we know that we can save him. But if we don't know we can save him, then Ein Mefakhin is Agal. And that's what Rav Sheshes was referring to. A Pella, not Mashid Pella. Okay, let's go on.
So you don't have an answer to why?
I don't know. I'd like you to work on it with me. Maybe we could come up with something. But at least the cash is there. I mean, it's true. Akshaveno Roden. The guy is buried under this. Tanrabanon v'huka v'meis. And what does this word v'huka mean? Like Lashon Stamis, he calls it. It doesn't say v'keu v'meis, but rather v'huka v'meis. He says b'chol adam.
What pasuk are we talking about?
Right, the pasuk says in Machteres Yimatzi Agana v'huka v'meis ein lo dam. Right. So this now is against Rabbeinu Yonasan that we spoke about before, and he's saying anyone who sees the Bav Machteres is allowed to kill him. So it's mamish midin rodet, not midin abola hargach. And then the pasuk adds another word, v'meis. What is the word v'meis coming to teach me? Bechol misa shatayochal misa. What does that mean? Bechol misa shatayochal misa. Apparently, there was a Havamina that we have to kill him the very same way that we kill a Rotzeach. How do we kill a Rotzeach? With Sayev. And if you can't kill him with a Sayev, then how do we know if you're allowed to kill him in another way? Again, we need a special drasha to be Mechadesh that if we can't kill him with a Sayev, then we can kill him any way that we have at our disposal. Now, I don't understand something here. If the Torah allowed me to kill this guy because of Abola Hargacha, what difference does it make whether it's B'Sayif or not? Sayif is halachas Bezdin. And Bezdin is given a certain mandate, a certain commission. They have to kill it like their hour Mises Bezdin. But here the Torah allowed me to kill him. So I have to go through the entire, cheshbon of what Bezdin would have done to kill him. How would they have put him to death? And I need a special pasuk to tell me, okay, if you can't kill him, put him to death this way. You can kill him anyway. So from this Gemara, I think I derive a new conclusion. That Bava Machteres is not just a heter to kill him, but he's chayav misa.
That's why it's Kimel Rabbeinu.
And that's why it's Kimel Rabbeinu. If there's a chayav misa, then we have to look into the Torah and see what kind of misa he's chayav. And he's chayav only a specific type of misa. Hence, there was a havamina that midin chayav misa, I have to limit myself, and I only have a license to kill him B'Taras Mechuyev Misa, which means Messiah. And we can't kill him with what? With any other method. I just don't know what the Kamashmalan is. What is the Maskana? Is the Maskana that we don't need a Chiyav Misa? And it's just a heter to kill him? Well, no, there's a Chiyav Misa, but even in other Chayav Misa's Bezdin, there's halach that Bezdin can kill him. If they can't kill him this way, they'll kill him now.
We can't expect the guy about ice to know sign whatever. He's the guy coming in and kill him whatever he got.
You want to apply the logic of the Meiri, the Meiri says, how can we expect him to, or Rabbi Yomi said, how can we expect him to shoot for the legs?
That's not a shoot, he's saying he's side.
Right.
But you don't have a sword in the house, you have a rope.
Right. Yeah, it's a very strange thing because, we're assuming that the Baal Bayis went through all the halachas above Machteres and he equipped himself with a sayif, in case.
Well, he has a shotgun though.
Right. The reason I wanted to learn this with you is because we're about to embark upon a sugya called Katan Arodef Achar Chavero. And we're going to derive from the next Mishnah in the name of Rav Huna that Katan Harodef Achar Chavero, you can kill him. What does that indicate? What I'm asking is the parsha here of Rodef a heter to kill him, or is it a chiv mises bezdin? From the fact that you can kill the katan, what do you prove?
It's not
a chiv bezdin. There's no such thing as a chiv bezdin for a katan, not for Nezikim, and not for Malkus, and certainly not for Misa. Right? Let's take a look for a second. We're fast forwarding. But Omar Afuna, Katan Arodef, Nitam Laksilo Benafsha. You see that? If you take a look, it's about 12 lines up from the bottom of the page. Omar Afuna, you have it? The first word in the line is He Hasra Asa.
Mhm.
Or if you're looking in the Masifta, in the commentary of the Masifta, it's the last line on this page. I am phase of a base. Now again, there are complicated issues here. Who is the Katan trying to kill? I'm not getting into that right now. But one thing I see for sure, that we're talking about a din of a Rodef, and we're opposing the status of a Rodef on a Katan. That can't be a chiv mises bezdin. There's no such thing as a chiv mises bezdin on a katan.
Machteres is different.
Correct, because Bab Machteres is a din of not like onshe bezdin, but rather there's a chiv misa, and that we saw from the fact that we need to know, how to kill him. But that chiv misa is not b'toras onesh, because otherwise Rav Huna makes no sense. You can't punish a katan.
For somebody road, there's not going to be a Baba Machteres. Like between you said before, the Baba Machteres is not Midin Road, it's a separate halacha. That's Midin Onesh, but it's a road, it's not.
Right, so we want to say the following: that what? That
You said before,
when do we need this drasha of what? Umeis, where is it again? Sorry, I lost my place. Right, Umeis. I think you're making the question even more severe. Let's just think about it. We said that Baba Machteres is midin Abola Hargacha, correct? And yet there's a Havamina that you have to kill him in a certain way.
That's an onesh.
So I don't get it.
That's Midin Onesh.
You want to say
Baba Machteres is Midin Onesh.
Baba Machteres is midin.
And that's why we have.
That's why he's chayiv misa. And you might have to kill him the way
that's
best.
the Havamina, not to Shabbos.
Torah would say. But that's because of Bola Hargacha? Does, if I classify and define Baba Machteres as Haba Lahargacha, does that lead me to the conclusion that he's chayav misa? In other words, what we're doing is we're saying, right? Rabbi Yonason called it nidon al shem sofo, correct? So what does nidon al shem sofo mean? Al shem sofo means as a rotzeach. That means we have to give him a chiyuv misa. So we're going to impose a chiyuv misa on him. In the case of a rodef, we're saying that even a katan is a rodef. Why? Because it's not a chiyuv misa, or maybe you can say it a little differently. Maybe it is a chiyuv misa, but it's not an onish, right? In the case, if you follow what I'm saying, I'm splitting between two concepts. There may be a concept called a chiyuv misa and another concept called an onish misa. It could be that without even differentiating between, just 1 second. Yeah, without differentiating between Rodef and Bava Machteres, which again, that was a Gavaldik Chiddush. Let's say they're equal, and a Bava Machteres is also a Rodef, but we want to differentiate between a Gadol and a Katan. In the case of a Gadol, then not only did the Torah allow you to kill it, but the Torah imposed the Chiyuv Misa on it. Now, whether or not that would apply straight across the board, I don't know, but at least in certain circumstances, he is Chayav Misa. Ad kedei kach, that if not for a special Yalfusa, we would only kill him the way, Al Shem Sof, the way he would be killed as a Rotzeach, namely with Tzayah. But in the case of a Katan, whether he's Bava Machteres or he's a Rodef, in both cases, we cannot impose upon him a Chiyuv Misa. Or, again, now I'm trying a little bit of a twist. If there is a Chiyuv Misa, but it's not Midin Onshim. So when do we have a Havamina, and we need a special Gzeres HaKosov, that we can only kill him Al Shem Sofo as a Rotzeach? That's because he has not only a din of a Chiyuv Misa, but on top to boot, he's also Chayv an Onesh Misa. But in the case of Katan, where Rav Huna says that if the Katan is a Rodef, will kill him, he's talking about a Chiyuv Misa, but without an Onesh Misa. So, like, for example, in the case of a Katan, what I'm suggesting is there would be no Havamina that we have to kill him with a Sayif. Why? Because killing with a Sayif, it's not just a Chiyuv Misa, but it's an Onesh Misa. And a Katan is Mufka from Onshin. But in the case of a Gadol, and maybe I don't even have to differentiate here between Bava Machteres and Rodev, he is Chayav Misa B'Torah's Onshin. Why? Because he's Nidon Hashem Sofa. Like, for example, we spoke about Bava Machteres Nidon Hashem Sofa. We said he's Chayav Skila. And what would be if we couldn't do Skila? So then the question becomes, can we kill him in other ways? And will we kill him in other ways? I don't know. That sort of thing. So if it's a Nidon Hashem Sofa, the Torah is going to say there's an Onish Misa. And now the question is, what about a situation where we cannot execute that Onish Misa in the way the Torah imposed the Onish Misa? And for that, I need a pasuk. In the case of a Katan, you could call it a Chiyuv Misa, but you can't call it an Onish Misa. Or maybe you want to go a step further. I don't have enough Gemina now to test this out, but maybe in the case of a Katan, it's not even a Chiyuv Misa. It's a head to the killer. So what does Rav Huna say?
Well, we already know that Afimina is a suffix, and Nitam HaTzilom Echam Eivar. But those are the Afimina that refer between Bava Machteres and Rodef.
So how would that impact on Katan? Here it says Katan or Rodef Nitam Latzilo B'Nafsham. Now I'm wondering, maybe what he's saying is that the Katan doesn't have a full-fledged status as a Rodef. If he did, then he'd be Chayav Misa. Maybe the Katan is not Chayav Misa, but Nitam Latzilo B'Nafsham. The Torah allows you to kill the Katan if need be in order to save the Nirda. but we would never have a Havamina that has to go through the mechanism of own shade best. And maybe even more than that, it's not even a Chiv Misa. It's only a heter to kill him in order to save the Nirda. But in the case of a Gadol, if he's a Rodef, and maybe Bob Machteres also, here we have not only a din of you're allowed to kill him to save the Nirdaf, but moreover, there's a specific way you kill him because Nidar Hashem Sofa means that he's Chayav Misa. And if he's Chayav Misa, you have to do it the way Bezdin would implement a Chayav Misa, and there's a Havamina that if you don't have the option of Saif, then you can't kill him. Okay, what else? Where's the page?
So I see in the Yomi BIyun, we have all this question about your question before, why you don't be Mefakeh Alav Hasagal on Shabbat. Going on page Mezai.
But wait, just 1 second. Is he addressing our problem that he's no longer Bob Machteres? What? Or he's talking about Chilul Shabbat? What's his subject? Okay. Does he quote to Miri? You know that he's still trying to.
He quoted the Miri over here somewhere.
Oh.
But he puts the Gadol, he puts the Achiezer, he puts the Eben Azor.
And what do they say?
I think it's far.
Oh, take a look. See if you can give me a one-line summary. Maybe there are 3 different approaches to this.
So the Gadol on the Rambam says, "Kevin shepasha bi'atzmo, like the masa heavy olav sakana b'hitur atzmo lamisa, lachem kasher nafa olav hagal ein lahatzilo."
No, it can't be. I'm sorry. That's certain things I can't tolerate.
He says before the finish of olav hagal, the yamatul chalad lahapil olav hagal. Umemela nechshav k'vada meis shein mechal anav hakados. And the Eben Azor.
Oh, that was the same Argadol. So wait a minute, what's the Argadol saying? He's saying because he brought it upon himself, and therefore will let him die, or is he saying?
Sounds like at first. Then he says, since anyone who wanted could come and be
right.
olav hagal.
He's a Gabba Ketila, but is there a va'od in between, like an inami, or this one flow? I forget who the Argadol was, but he was a Gadol. Yeah. And then after that, he has who? He has the Achiezer?
Yeah, he says.
So let me make a note of it. What page did you say it was on?
The Yaakov BIyun, page Memzain. Starting at page
Memzain.
Memzain.
All right, I'm going to try to look at the Yaakov here.
And
How could it be that I don't have a pen? I know I brought a pen. But anybody have a pen?
Yeah, I'll take a picture. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. All right, Rabbi, say let's go down in my roof. And we still have a lot of work here. You know, this is yeah, it's not easy stuff. I didn't even get to the Rambam Hilchos Chobel Masechet that I prepared, but maybe next week.